All right, well, welcome to the Women in Careers panel. I'm really excited today to have some real live discussion with some women in industry and some of our campus partners as well. I'll introduce myself. My name is Shannon Neswicki, and I'm the Assistant Director of Internships and Employment Development for University Career Services here at the University of Toledo. I help students find internships and find jobs. I work with a lot of the events on campus when it comes to employer recruitment and also on campus student employment. And I'm going to let Dr. Fitzpatrick introduce herself as well. Angie, I think you're still muted.
I was just introducing myself like Dr. Angie Fitzpatrick. I don't even know how to unmute a web thing. And I call her web thing. Anyway, hi. I'm the director for the Catherine S. Everly Center for Women here at the University of Toledo. I've been here for about 7 months, and I'm really excited about partnering with Career Services and learning more from our wonderful panelists today.
So again, thank you, panelists. I'm totally humbled and I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day today to meet with us. I know that everybody is crazy and worried and it's stressful and there's a lot going on. So I really, really appreciate this. But I'm just going to introduce you briefly and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves as well. So we have Sarah Swisher from the Toledo Regional Chamber of Commerce. She is the Vice President of Talent and Workforce, if I could get it all out. Nina Corder is the founder and director of Inclusive for Women, also known as the Women of Toledo, and all things to everybody. I was reading her bio in amazement. She's an entrepreneur, an activist, a leader, just everything. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. And then we also have Tina Roberts, which I'm really excited about. I consider a friend of mine. She is a vice president of commercial operations for Stark Enterprises and the general manager to what we know is Cracker Park, one of the best places in Ohio. So we're excited about that. And then Joanna Moeller is from Cedar Point, and she's the Vice President of Human Resources and a longtime partner of University of Toledo Career Services. So thank you, everybody. So now I'm just going to give you the opportunity to briefly introduce yourselves. If you wanted to talk about kind of like your career pathway and major, or just anything that you would like to bring to the table. Sarah, would you like to start us off?
Mute is going to get me. Absolutely. I'm Sarah Swisher. I grew up in Bowling Green, Ohio. I went to BGSU, where I majored in theater and band, and really went after my passion there. But it was a great liberal arts education, so I was taking communications and business and economics, and a really well-rounded education there. I moved to Nashville a little bit after graduation, came back, and within about a year found myself at the Toledo Chamber. I've been there for 7 years, serving our community. For the first 7, I was the director of EPIC Toledo, which is the largest young professional program here in the Toledo region that helps with networking, leadership and professional development, and community involvement. So it's a great way to start to get connected within the community, learn maybe about some companies and businesses that are here, and get connected to like-minded individuals. And I think starting, it was like December, January 2020, stepped into a new role where now I lead the talent and workforce team at the Chamber. So I have about 4 people on my team that encompasses everything from EPIC, diversity and inclusion, talent attraction, talent retention, and workforce initiatives.
Great, thank you. Nina, would you like to go next?
Sure. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Nina Corder. First of all, happy Equal Pay Day. So if you are not aware, today is Equal Pay Day for women. I just did a presentation with our young women's group. We did move out a little bit. $1 for men, we are 82 cents. So it's 18% instead of 20% compared to last year. So hoo-hoo, right? Still have a long way to go. So as I mentioned, my name is Nina Corder. I am originally from Malaysia. Been here for almost 22 years. So Toledo is home. I do have a very untraditional track where I end up doing what I'm doing here. My schooling and degree come from higher education, but I am in a nonprofit. So I've been in a nonprofit for almost 6 years, very unintentional. It happened very organic. So now I help founded and manage Women of Toledo. Really, really enjoy it very much because I believe that that is something I'm passionate about. I practice servant leadership, so I am a service person, so I like to serve others. I'm married and have a daughter who is 18 years old, who is in college. So again, going back to the non-traditional, have my daughter at a very early age, right after I graduate from my degree. My career path, I've been working, I'm always surround myself with women, women's group, women gender studies. So I started working with Sona Women Network as their operation officer. And then I also work for Tim Card, doing a special project for them. Been in nonprofit, so I was working for Pay It Forward. Throughout my journey with nonprofit, I have been given an opportunity to really work at national and international level. So nationally, I served for almost a year under the White House Council for Women and Girls under Obama administration in 2016. So I help lobby for Title IX. So I'm really enjoy doing a lot of advocacy on that matter. At the same time, also the following years, I was able to do a tenure with United Nations Women as Global Champion for Change project on women economic empowerment. So that's how I start my career. Now I am locally pushing on women's advocacy and women economic empowerment here locally in Toledo.
Great, thank you.
You're
Next
welcome.
up, we have Tina Roberts. Tina, you there?
Here. Thanks. I started at Bowling Green as well, and I took interior design and I minored in photography. What was that, Shannon? But I did some interior design work for quite a while, worked for furniture stores doing interior design, and I got into residential property management, and I did that for quite a few years, which led into selling advertising to properties and all over Ohio. And at one point, one of my clients asked me to come and run their residential portfolio, and that was Stark Enterprises. I started with them in 2011, and 7 months after running their residential portfolio, they asked me to be the general manager at Crocker Park, which was one of their largest properties at the time. Still is their largest property. And as time went on, I was promoted to assistant vice president. And a few years ago, I became a vice president of commercial operations, where I oversee their commercial properties. And making the transition to residential to commercial was a big step, but I've learned so much from this company and love growing with them. And I really don't do too much anymore that has to do with my career or what I went to college for. So, you have to keep your options open. There's so many things you can do in life and grow within yourself.
Great, thank you. Joanne, you there?
I am here. Hello, everyone. And again, thank you for having me. My name is Joanne Mueller. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources with Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And I have a bachelor's degree from Hillsdale College in business and sociology. I also have a master's degree from Loyola University in Chicago. And for me, I knew at a very young age that I wanted to go into human resources, which way back when I started, it was called personnel, and it has been a field that has been changing incredibly over the last 30 years since I have been a part of it. And the great part about being in an industry in a field like this that has changed so much is after 30 years and many, many different companies and industries, I still am challenged every day. I still learn every day. And I think, I really still have a passion for it every day. And I'm very excited to be a part of your panel today, and also to be a part of the Cedar Point team and leading the HR strategy at Cedar Point.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions to get us started off, or should we just go right into our questions? All right. So the first question that we had, Angie and I were kind of just thinking about what would college students and alumni and recent grads and all women really, but what advice would you give to women in or graduating from college right now? And right now we're kind of in just a different time for everybody, but we can kind of touch base on COVID, but also just in general, like what would be your advice going from college to career? And I don't know how you guys want to chime in at any time and just kind of have a discussion.
I'm happy to start on this one. I have 5 children, and my 4th child is graduating in May. And obviously, her world has been turned upside down. She has had some really, really difficult times due to COVID. And she's home with me now. And we are focusing on the positive. We are focusing on the future. And my advice for her, and really any student graduating from college, really would be to embrace the future, to be open, to not be afraid to get outside of your box, and not to limit yourself, because it's important that we don't let kind of the vision or the image in our heads frame our future or limit our future, because I think it can. And I would just say be cautious of that, and be cautious of feeling like you know exactly what you want to do, and instead just embrace and be open to any and all opportunities that might come your way.
My advice would be very similar to that. My daughter is supposed to be graduating from her graduate program in May, and she was in an internship. She can't do her clinicals, and she's really upset about it. And she's afraid no one's going to give her a job because she couldn't finish her clinicals. But similar advice I've given her is, one, everyone else is in her same position. They weren't able to finish their clinicals either, and they're going to be looking for the same jobs that you are. So don't look at the negatives. Be positive. Get out there and get as much information as you possibly can. She's doing webinars and all kinds of things to still get as much information to take her test. And I've told her and anyone who's looking to graduate soon and looking to go into the workforce, be ready to wear many hats. There's days that I do different things that I wouldn't normally do. My day is different every day, and it's because I wear a different hat. So be prepared to wear different hats. Understand not only what you're looking for in a position, but how to grow that position, maybe to be something comparable, or maybe to take your knowledge from that and turn it into something totally different towards a different career path.
As I mentioned, my background was, what I studied was theater and dance. And when I, realized that wasn't really something that I wanted to pursue as a career anymore, I went back to a restaurant that I had formerly been a server at. And within a couple of months, they actually promoted me to kind of like a part-time manager role. And while I knew that wasn't something that I wanted to do long term, I knew that being able to show that I had managed a staff of 50 every night, that I was involved in the aspects of, a $5 million a year restaurant, that those were things that I could really turn into transferable skills that I could talk to, maybe that dream job or that next step, about ways in which what I was able to learn from that and how I could apply that to the next situation. So while it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be doing in the moment, taking an opportunity like that really gave me an opportunity to grow in different ways than I had really imagined.
Good. So for me is I just want to piggyback on all the panels. So that was a really positive, great advice. Number one, bravo, because you are taking the first step by being here today, by listening to us. This is recording. So for anyone that listened to this is the first step. I believe in human connection. So I am a relationship-based person. So I believe that you can't be what you can't see. So for me right now, during this time, especially, it's very difficult for you to really meet someone face to face to build that connection. So you have to find someone that you can meet visually or still continue the connection. Because I believe in, like, you can't be what you can't see. So you need to gravitate to someone that you can really see what you want to be after you graduate, and not just see what is their success rate, what they are accomplished at doing. Look at what they do behind the scene too. What motivate them to do it behind the closed door, the work that they put in and things like that. Job shadowing, internship, that's always great opportunity for you to do that. And I think almost everybody agree it's not just about what you know, it's about who you know. So building that connection, building that networking from now. And there's a lot of great opportunity, especially during this time. Technology is so efficient, and I know a lot of younger people is so excellent in technology. You could connect people in very fast, very stimulus, and find opportunity to connect with them, not just them, but connect with who else in their network group. So I believe that is one way of doing it, while you are in the middle, trying to transitioning right now, trying to figure out what is next. So that is a couple tips for me. No, you can't be what you can't see. And then another thing is, it's a very small world. You got to get connected.
Yeah.
It's about who you know.
Thank you all for that. I'd like to ask a follow-up question. Where can job seekers find virtual opportunities for both professional development and networking? Crystal, thank you for chiming in with your shout out to Women of Toledo. Nina, could you speak very briefly about the resources available through Women of Toledo? And then I'd love to hear from some of the other panelists and also people who are on this webinar. Where are virtual places that people can, again, get professional development and build networks?
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the opportunity. For any of you not familiar with Women of Toledo, we are a nonprofit organization in Greater Toledo. We provide a lot of program and services that help advance women's economically. So we do a lot of professional and personal development for any women and young women from age 15 to the legacy group, that helping them transitioning in any the career path or school transitioning in anything that you do. We believe is a passion is for you, purpose is for others. So our organization help you find that purpose that you need. I always give a lot of our young women these 4 tips. You have to know, what are you good at? What do you love? What is the world need, and how do you make money? Because that is how you gravitate into something that you're really passionate about. So Women of Toledo provide a lot of coaching, mentoring, and peer network support for women at any stage that trying to get back to any opportunity that way. So we provide opportunity. And even though during this COVID-19, we have built a visual session where women can continue to connect, because we women, we connect in a different way. That human relation, human spirit during this time is very, very important. Connection build empowerment. We have a visual session right now every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 1 that you can meet and have conversation. And mostly all our mentors is online too. And you'll be able to ask them questions or even build that network. At the end of it, our organization is here to help you lean in and build that support that you needed in any capacity that you need. So
Awesome.
thank you for letting us introduce the organization. At the end of it, you got to put what you want. Is the motivation have to come for you. We at Women of Toledo, we just want to provide you the opportunity and space for you to come in, and the rest you just have to do the work and join us.
Awesome. All right, who else wants to throw out some ideas? I'm happy to type it out over here in the chat area so that people can visit these places online. So feel free to jump in with your recommendation.
For me, I think for all of us, I'm sure, LinkedIn, I think is still a fantastic network to, meet people, to connect with people. I actually have used it for years and years and still gain value out of it, still make new connections every day. I've been able to grow my career and my own personal development through the connections on LinkedIn. So I would recommend to any young person to start their profile on LinkedIn and then start doing searches to see who they want to connect with and to just put themselves out there and start to grow that particular network and profile on LinkedIn.
And I would add, if you're going to try to connect with someone who you're not, you don't have that relationship with yet, please send a message along with it, either of, why you want to connect, a little bit about your background. It doesn't have to be anything long or in depth. But I think that really helps because not everyone's just going to accept every kind of random person that comes along. And it really shows that you have, you're really trying to make that connection and make it meaningful. So just a little something about why you're wanting to connect is always really going to help you out.
The other thing too, when you get someone's business card, connect with them right away on LinkedIn. It makes them realize that you're interested in what they're doing, and then you always have that connection as well. So it's one of my things. As soon as I get a business card from someone, when I get back to my computer, I connect with them on LinkedIn every time.
Yeah, that's great advice. And we're probably next week we're going to do some LinkedIn sessions for students and faculty and staff, whoever wants to join, about how to utilize LinkedIn. I agree. I'm on there. Like, I have my computer, then I also have my other laptop, and I'm working on LinkedIn. I've been able to recruit or to network with recruiters and employers and students, and it's just been a great tool during this time as well too. And I've learned a lot of stuff just in higher ed and in general, and what's happening. So I think it's a great professional development tool as well too.
Yeah, my networks post a lot of amazing articles, and so I will not only read them, but I'll send them to myself on email. I'll send them to my peers, to my supervisors, my own team. And there's just a ton of development that occurs also just through those connections and keeping in touch with the articles that people are posting.
All right, great. Let's see what our next question is here. Oh yeah, so this is one that we're really interested in, and Joanne, you probably have some experience in this as well too. But we just talk about. I didn't even know today was what is it? Equal Pay Day. I didn't even know that. So this is totally random, but that's good. So how do we negotiate as women? Sometimes women are kind of intimidated by negotiating, and we already know we get paid less in certain circumstances. So if any of you had any advice for students or anybody or any women, please chime in.
I'll just kick us off. I mean, I'm sure all of you have amazing opportunities and advice, but I would just really say that for me, it's really around confidence and believing in yourself. And it's anytime you go in to a negotiation, you have to ensure that you fully understand your own self-worth. And by believing in yourself and having that confidence, don't sell yourself short. Just go into it and be confident and understand your self-worth, and surround yourself with people who believe in you and who will affirm you and affirm your self-worth and what values and strengths you can bring to any situation.
I agree 100%. Know what your worth is, and when you're going into a negotiation, you know what that worth is. Make sure you stand strong in it and let people know that you know what your worth is. And that's confidence, as well as Joanne said. And stay strong. Don't give in. Negotiating is being a really strong woman, which all of us are, and you feel the confidence when you go into a negotiation. Dress the part, be the part. Even if you're on a virtual, if you have PJ bottoms on, dress from the waist up. Look your worth, know your worth, and negotiate for your worth.
Um, so let me share you a couple of tips on negotiation. This is based on research. So I'm a part of an organization called AAUW, American Associate University of Women. So we teach women how to negotiate. So we have a program called Smart Start or Work Smart. So it's either negotiating as you entering the workspace, or are you already in the workplace, and how do you negotiate for the promotion or for vacation or for schedule change or anything that you want. The 5 tips. Tips number 1 is you have to ask. Again, going back to what Joanna said, is the confidence is about asking. We women, we do not ask. We don't ask for what we want. You don't have to be aggressive. You can be assertive about it. Then you have to ask and be specific. That's another one. Make sure when you ask, oh yeah, I need, can I get a raise? Or can I have my schedule changed? That is very vague. You need to be specific. Hey, can I have additional $1,000 according to my research? This is how much I worth. Hey, I noticed that this is happening in the schedule. Will I be able to get 2 days off during this time? From this time and this time. So make your ask and be specific on your ask. The other one is, of course, you have to do research. Make sure you be prepared. So especially many of you who graduating, entering the job, the workplace right now, you probably already know what is your career track that you want to go. So research on what is the geography, the location, what is the living expenses, how much do you need, what is the budget, and if you could find out about the company. A lot of companies now have social responsibility report where they really put a lot of emphasis on their diversity and inclusion. So figure it out what you can bring and be prepared to bring that in confidence. Going back to what Tina was saying, that that's what your ability, saying that, hey, I noticed that you have an affinity group. I be able to do a little bit my part by being a part of the affinity group and run the women's group and build that inclusive space. So, you're going back to your time, your talent, and your influence. So, and another one, the last one that I just learned recently, this is from a research from the Lean In organization. You can look it up. Ask for support. Don't be afraid to lean in. Don't be afraid to ask for support from your manager or your supervisor or someone who can sponsor you. He for she is big right now. Don't be afraid to ask a man that is in a leadership role that you want his position, and go for it. So that is a couple of things that I learned today. The reason why I know all this because we just did a session on this, so it's still fresh in my memory. But yeah, it's really an excellent tip. So I hope you try that. Just try it. Make an ask. I'd be happy, and I'm pretty sure Angie will be happy to do it, to role play with us. Role play with us, and then make your ask, and we be happy to help you how to negotiate better. Thank you.
I'd like to jump in too, because Nina, I've done the AUW Start Smart salary negotiation workshops. And one of the things that I notice is sometimes as women we have difficulty bragging about ourselves because we've been socialized to be humble, right? You don't want to appear to be too full of yourself because then people might think that you're stuck up or worse, right? So one of the things that I've had to do and I encourage other women to do is go to your best friend and say, what do you think I'm good at? What are the things that you notice about me? Or, you might say, here's the list of things that I've come up with. Here are my strengths. What feedback do you have? And then you could give her, the same kind of feedback. But it's nice not just to surround yourself with people who are supportive, but to really specifically ask for that support very intentionally. And the research part, yes, so important. know what people are being paid in your area, and know what you need in order to survive too, right? Like, can you take this job at this pay, or is that going to have a major impact on the quality of life that you're looking for? So great tips, everyone. I've noticed our chat box is a little bit quiet. I'm typing away over here. Does anyone from the audience have any questions? Are there things that have come up in our conversation that you want to know more about? Feel free to jump into the chat box, or even to just turn off your mute and speak up too. That's also another way to ask a question.
I do have a question.
Hi.
My name is Kayla. I'm a senior at the University of Toledo. Joanne probably would be the person to answer, but I would love to hear from all of you women. I'm a human resource major, that's why I say that. I wanted to know what you ladies think about ways to stand out in an entry level position. Like I said, I'm a senior. This could also go for women that are in other grades. Maybe it's an internship, but just things that we can do to kind of give us a kickstart when we do enter the workforce.
Sure, absolutely. I have a team of about 12 full-timers, but during the season, we hire probably 25 entry-level employees to work in HR. Many of them are in the HR field, maybe have just graduated, looking for their first opportunity, internship. And what I love to see, really out of anyone, it doesn't matter if it's my full-timers or the entry level, but what I love to see is purposeful and planful ownership of whatever it is. Well, literally, whatever it is that has to happen. Hair on fire situations, just jump in, be confident, be willing to help the team, be a true team player with a positive attitude, a can do attitude, really believe in that human spirit and take ownership and say, you know what, I can do that. I'll be willing to try that. Give me a chance at that. Just go for it and be outside of your box and really show what I call courageous leadership. I think also you want to believe, or you want to definitely show courageous leadership through being true to yourself. So if you have an idea, then share that idea. Go for it. Don't think that you are in an entry level position and nobody wants to hear from you. Make that great idea stand, do it respectfully. And I'll tell you, as a leader looking for young folks who want to build a career, I want you in action. And I would say just jump in and be positive and be the best team player you can be.
I would say too, I don't work in HR, but I've kind of been through that college to career. And one thing that has helped me is building social capital, having mentors, and just like saying yes to a lot of things that you can add to your resume, add to your profile. Like I heard Tina talk about multi hats, and I paid for presentations I've had to present at. I'm on boards. I've done this. I've done, because the more that you can be involved, the more you can empower yourself. And then when you do go into those negotiations and interviews, you have a little bit more on your resume and more to talk about, which gives you that confidence that everyone's been talking about. So I would say just do and be involved as many things as you can. And I know Kayla, so I always tell students like get involved, and it really does matter because that's how you meet people and that's how you develop those skills. And I've heard like from this panel, it is who you know and who you're interacting with, and you can meet people on LinkedIn and just be out there and lean in as much as you can, because the more you can have in your backpack, the better.
Yep. Just jump in, fill your toolbox as best you can every minute of every day.
It's absolutely the truth. The more you have in your backpack, like Shannon said, the better off you'll be. When I look at a resume, I don't only look at your experience, I look at what you've done and who, the other things too is do something to help others. Put that as a part of your resume, because if you're helping others, you're going to help people within the company that you're going to work for too.
All right, does anybody have any questions or comments from the participation? All right, well, I don't even know the order of questions are in. I think we kind of touched on that. I wanted to touch on this because I think this is really important. This is kind of a good segue. So how can students get involved in their community? And then also a follow-up, how important it is to get involved in your community.
I think that takes off a lot from the last question too. And just being involved. If you like to talk in front of people, speak in front of people, if you want to help others, there's so many different community involvements you can be involved in. I speak for the Battered Women's Shelter. I'm the president of the board for the West Shore Chamber of Commerce. Even with my career already have taken off, I still try to be involved as much as possible in the community. Not only does it look good on your resume, but it makes you a well-rounded person altogether.
I would say a good starting point is to find something that you're passionate about. Maybe then find some local organizations that are working towards that mission. You can start out with some volunteer hours, but really starting to get involved at a committee level is really where you'll start to make some of those regular connections. You'll start to build those relationships, working with not only the people who serve the organization, but people who have different careers and lives in the community. It's a great way to really expand your network. Another thing that we talk about a lot through EPIC as well is board service. So not to say that's something you have to, go straight to, but, working your way into that, it gives you an excellent opportunity to serve at a high level and lead within our community. And also the connections that you can make and that network that you can build is phenomenal as well. Once you're starting to work and you have your career started. A lot of companies like to see that as well, because not only are you serving on behalf of you, but you're also serving on behalf of their organization as well. So they like their employees to be out there representing them in different situations. So I would say start with your passion and kind of move through your involvement in that way.
Can I ask a quick practical question on that point, Sarah? What advice would you give, like how does one go about getting on to a board? Because that seems like so up here, right? It's so different from saying like, I'll clean the dog kennel today, right? How do you get onto that board?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple different ways. One of which is to, like I said, start with those volunteer hours, then start with, maybe there's a fundraiser, they're looking for some volunteers to serve on a committee for fundraising. And then you kind of just naturally work your way through expressing interest to any of the leadership or the staff members of the nonprofit that you're interested in taking on those kinds of involvement and leadership within the organization. I think they'll want to see you around. So maybe like the first time you walk in and you say, I want to serve on your board, maybe wait a little bit, have them get to know you. The more you are around and kind of express interest, the more they're going to feel like they can trust you, that you're reliable. And then that's just going to, similar to your careers, right? The more you're kind of able to take on, the more they'll see that leadership potential in you as well. There's also different organizations that put on events to kind of do that matchup or that pairing. One of the things that EPIC Toledo does is we provide a training program for individuals who are interested in board service, because you'll actually learn about the liability and even how do you approach an organization about wanting to get involved and serve, how do you fundraise, you learn how to read financial statements. So a lot of that foundational information when it comes to serving on nonprofit boards. And then we also have an event. I don't have a date for it yet. I think I think we're still planning on doing it this fall, but it's a board fair. So it's a similar setup to a job fair, but it's nonprofits looking for individuals to serve as volunteers, committee members, and board members as well. So that's a different events like that are a great opportunity to start to get connected and express interest as well.
Yeah, and I like to piggyback Sarah because I'm very familiar with Epic. So Women of Toledo usually join that resources for board. A lot of our volunteer because we are heavy program and event driven. So we do a lot of major event like the Women Empowerment Summit, International Women Day, International Day of the Girls. So there's a lot of opportunity for committee work, and our young women Toledo usually come in at a committee work. Then from that committee work, they become a task force team, and then they become a board. So I always let my young people know that don't be afraid to pay it forward because it takes a lot of time management because with your school, you're trying to sometimes build your career and trying to get the opportunity. How do you figure it out? What community involvement that you should get involved? So I have these three tips that I try to practice for me personally. It's like your hand, your heart, and your head. So for your head, it's pretty much your mind. Get involved that can bring you knowledge and wisdom. So what are you doing that you want to really continue learning in information resources? So get involved with organization that is very impactful, that is data driven. So they measure their data because from their data, what get measured will get managed. It become an information. From information, it become a resources, and that resources become a knowledge, and it become your wisdom. So something that you can create to create, better learning, expanding your intelligence, right? And then your heart is going back to, I believe, Sarah mentioned also earlier about your passion. Heart is something that you're passionate about. What is the cause? What is the community or nonprofit involvement that is dear to your heart? That is really that is really a great charity for your cause. Because when you do something that you're really passionate or get involved with community that you really have something dear to your heart, um, you can endure more stress and more energy when you are doing something you're really passionate about. We do. Sometimes you don't realize because you're working on something like your passion project. Then next thing you know, you'll be like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been up doing research. I've been doing a lot of different things that to help the organization that you're passionate about. Your hand is about you're paying it forward. Like your hand is about shaking hand. Who are you gonna meet next? That's your handshake. This is where my hand. Get involved where you can get more handshake, get more connection, get more involvement. And I think if you practice it like very intentionally with your head, your heart, and your hand, you be able to find that balance in your life and balance in opportunity and involvement in the community. So that's just my three tips.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I would say and sometimes it's hard because students that are just graduating might not have that social capital or know even where to start on some of these things or cultural capital. And for me, I had a mentor in one of my first jobs that said, this is what you have to be doing. Here's the Chamber of Commerce. Here's our Young Professional Network. And Sarah knows how much I love Epic, even though I'm not sure I fit in their fit in their parameters anymore. But I'm still always involved because I feel like it's so important for our young professionals to get involved in Epic, which is the Young Professionals Network for the Toledo Regional Chamber of Commerce. Because especially if you're moving to a city you don't know anybody, or you're just getting started in your career, you will meet so many people, and it just gets you started. Like once you just get in there and just get started, like you can't slow down. Like you'll be involved in chamber, then you're involved in this, and then this person needs volunteers, and you meet people, and then you're doing golf outings and all this other stuff. You just have to lean in that one time, and it's a good idea too. I would tell students during interviews or when you're talking with your new supervisors to say, like, this is important to me, it's part of some of my goals. Like, how do you support this? And if you have any ideas where I can get involved, I definitely am part of that too, because sometimes supervisors assume, oh, they have too much going on, they might not want to get involved, or they have this or this. And it's good to speak up, as we talked about, and say, I do want to get involved. How can you help me? Can you help me do that? So that's the advice I have for that. So I think we're almost about time now. Does anybody have any last comments or questions or just advice for women or anything going into this crazy time we're in right now?
I have one little bit of advice as a recent graduate I'd like to give students.
Great.
I don't know how many of you are involved in groups that have professional chapters. That was really how I got started and built my network. Apex Toledo has a student chapter and a professional chapter. That naturally led me to being a part of the professional chapter, and they really are great. They wanted to give me a board position right away. So you can start building those relationships professionally now as a student. So that's something to consider too. And Epic, their board accelerator series, I went through that, cannot recommend it any higher. It was fantastic. And that's really it for me.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any other closing comments or suggestions? Well, I just wanted to thank everybody again, just for taking the time. This was some great discussion. We're hoping to post this on all of our social media platforms. Here, let me see what I got here. We have just my contact information and Dr. Fitzpatrick's contact information. Follow us on LinkedIn as well. And also through our Instagram, LinkedIn, but Twitter and Facebook. I'm sorry, my children just walked in, so now they're getting kind of out of control. But thank you again. I don't know if Angie, you wanted to say anything.
I'd just like to echo your thank you to everyone for sharing their expertise, for asking questions, and just for being part of the conversation. And yes, I'm happy to be a support person for whatever you need. Take a look at resumes, do some mock interview pieces, just reach out to me. And the Eberly Center for Women is doing coffee breaks, virtual coffee breaks every Wednesday at 2 p.m. So if you're looking for a place to connect and meet some other folks, please feel free to join us. Our information for the coffee hour is on our Facebook and Instagram, which are both at Eberly Center.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Stay safe and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Safe.
You too.